For the third year and counting, Richard Skipper has been celebrating the artists you love.
And what are some of the things that you've really run out of time? And we've got to talk about your latest. I want to go back a little bit, first of all, and celebrate a true legend.
Richard Skipper is all about celebrating life, art, and his guest body of work.
And did you pursue performing opportunities while you were in high school?
Please join us while he showcases these diverse and talented individuals. Here's Richard Skipper.
And Kassira McKee. Hello, Kassira. How are you? Can you hear me?
Hello, I can hear you. Hi.
You've got another window open somewhere because I could hear myself coming back on an echo.
I don't know. I'm sorry. Yes.
How are you? Can you hear me? Kassira, can you hear me?
Hang on. I can.
Okay, you can hear me now. You're coming in on a delay. I'm coming in on the delay.
I don't have anything else on.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Well, okay, you can hear me now? Now you're muted. Okay, you muted yourself. Kassira, you're muted.
Yes.
Now you're not muted. Don't touch any
Yes, but
buttons.
I'm echoing, and I have nothing else on.
Okay, great. So don't touch anything. Okay, so let that go. Don't touch anything. So anyway, Kassira, welcome. It's Sunday night. It's the Let That Go show. And tonight we are going to be talking about control. And, so we're not going to control anything. It's going to control us maybe. But I want to ask you, because my platform, where did she go? She's gone. I don't know where she went. All kinds of kaflooey things are going on right now. But I am Richard Skipper, and that was Kassira McKee. And hopefully Kassira McKee will be back in just a moment. I think what's going on is she's got more than one window open. And as soon as she figures out what that situation was, she'll be back. So if any of you are watching from whatever platform you're watching tonight, our giveaway tonight, once again, is Kassira's book, Let That Go. If you put the hashtag Let That Go with an exclamation point in your comment section, and here she's back.
Hi. Okay, I fixed it.
You just flew off into the.
I know. You know what? I've had technical issues all morning. I don't know. It's the planets. I'm going to blame it on the planets.
We'll blame it on the planets. But
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm letting everyone know, Let That Go with an exclamation point, because that's the name of your book. That will give them a chance to be entered to win a copy of your book tonight. Let's start number one. My show is about celebrating life, celebrating art, celebrating artists, celebrating you, Kassira. What are you celebrating this week?
I'm celebrating my friends, my true friends. Yeah. And our guest today is a friend of mine.
We're going to bring her on in a few minutes, but before we get to her,
I'm celebrating the fact that she said yes to this.
Okay.
So
there are two things that I want to. Today is also Drop Your Significant Jerk Day. Did you know that?
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And all of us have significant jerks in our life that we drop. That's part of the theme of this show. We talk about that. And today is also Pay a Compliment Day. And we can never do too much of that, I feel, in terms of paying each other compliments. But I want to talk about something that I've been thinking a lot about over the course of this past week. I lost 3 friends this past week.
Oh,
and 2 friends were buried on the same day. And I got to thinking about how we want to be remembered when we pass on, when we transition. And I want to start tonight, and this is not a morbid way of starting, but have you thought about how you want to be remembered when you pass on?
I've asked people, well, a long time ago, I took a poll of a lot of people that I knew, and I said, what would my middle name be? Or how, same question, or what would my middle name be, or how would you remember me? And one of my Buddhist leaders said that she would remember me as being impatient. Isn't that nice?
Wow.
Which makes a whole lot of sense. Because
Are you
I want to
still,
get it done. Yes, I want to get it done yesterday.
are
So
you're still very impatient?
not as bad as it's not as bad as it used to be. It's really not. It's not as bad as it used to be. I just don't like waiting around. I like to get things done and move on to the next thing. But I would like to I would like to be remembered as strong and spiritually connected and helpful.
But do you know where that impatience comes from?
Oh, I used to be a procrastinator, and now I'm not. Now I've gone the other side of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just feel I have so much to get done in this lifetime, and when I'm ready to do it, I'd like to get it done and not wait on look at my watch and wait on other people that are involved. Let's just get it done. Let's just move on to the next thing.
I interviewed a guy this past year who is a sitcom writer. And he said he actually blocks his days almost as if each 30-minute segment of his day was a different sitcom.
Oh, you tell me about that.
Yes,
Yeah.
this 30-minute segment. And for you and me, this hour is our hour.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do what we're going to do for this hour. We've got all of these incredible people that are joining us this evening for this hour. And this is the Richard Skipper, Kassira McKee show. And tonight, it's not just Richard Skipper and Kassira McKee and all of these incredible co-stars that are with us, but we have an incredible friend that you've brought along tonight. And she's now a new friend of mine. She friended me on Facebook today, and I love that. So tell us.
Oh, good.
She's also in your book. So tell us.
Yeah, she is.
Yes, tell us about your friend.
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, she is a Unity Reverend. I was a member of her Unity Church in Dallas. And she refers to herself as the agent of love. That's her title. And it's true. She's so intelligent and so plugged in, yet she's really soft about it. And I spent many an evening in classes with her at Unity on Greenville, by the way. There's 2 Unity churches in Dallas. This is Unity on Greenville. She's since relocated to South Carolina to be closer to her family.
Home state. So there is a connection here. Let's bring her on. Yeah. And here she is. Karen Rumstan, I am so thrilled that you were here this evening.
Yay!
Our show. Excuse all the technical issues that we had coming on, but they're all gone now. We let them go.
Yay!
Thank you so much for having me, Kassira. So great to see you. Richard, so nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. Let's talk a little bit before we delve in tonight about your history. How did you first of all become a Unity minister?
Oh, gosh. I discovered a Unity church in Hollywood, Florida by making a wrong turn on my way to a sales call. And I saw the sign that said Metaphysical Bookstore, and I went in and I picked up my very first Unity book written. It's Emily Cady, Lessons in Truth. And I went home and read it ravenously. I had no idea what she was talking about. Mm-hmm. So much of it didn't make sense. And yet in the core of me, I knew it was true. And I began studying Unity. And when I moved to Dallas, I thought I went to Dallas to be a corporate marketing director. And then suddenly I had this call. And not to be woo-woo, but it was that voice that said, you will be ordained here, as I stood in my church. And I resisted that for a year. I resisted that and said, "No, do you really know me?" No. And then after a year, I relented, and here I am, a Unity minister.
Wow. Well, Kassira and I both, I mean, there's nothing woo-woo, or maybe there is, but I'm curious, why did you resist it?
Oh boy, that I didn't see myself as worthy of that.
Wow.
Mm.
Didn't see myself as a person who lived in a way that um, was that. And yet here I am. And it's been, I will say it's been an extreme honor to serve the spiritual community, to now have an alternative ministry, and just to be present in the world as a minister. It's truly an honor.
Well, Kassira, you can maybe take this on and run with this. Here she is. She said she made this turn. She's being called in a certain direction, and she's refusing to listen to that call. And here your chapter is all about control. She's trying to resist something that the universe is saying, this is the path that you are meant to be on. And because of her, forgive me for saying this, stubbornness, yes, she is not listening to that call. Do you want to take that and run with it?
I do mention in my book, probably more than once, that oftentimes our ego mind is not on the same page as what some people refer to as the God mind,
Mm-hmm.
or what I refer to as higher consciousness. Whatever you, or your Christ consciousness, or your Buddhahood, or whatever you want to call it, oftentimes our ego mind is not on the same page, and we battle with it. When it, yes, we are. And again, I've said this before, I don't like there's this broad metaphysical term that, we're the writer and the director and the producer and the casting director of our own show. And if we don't have what we want, then we just don't realize that. Well, no, higher consciousness, whatever that is for anyone out there, sees far and wide beyond what we see in our physical bodies, with our ego minds. And sometimes we gotta let go of the pull. I let go of controlling the pull and just go with it. And you know what I mean? And Karen knows what I mean. And I remember Karen talking one day about the difference between surrendering to higher consciousness and merging with higher consciousness. I don't know if do you remember that, Karen? I will never forget that evening.
And I've talked about that a lot, because surrender is a word that many of us resist. That means we're out of control.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm yielding to the flow of the universe, of what is already in motion, for me personally, for us collectively, if I yield to that, just as I would yield in traffic, then I'm moving with the flow of the universe, and it's beautiful and effortless. So it's just a matter of semantics and the word, and yielding was just more palatable to me, and I could envision that. I could see that.
Well, one of my favorite words is collaboration. And for me, in the theater, in every situation, collaboration. When someone comes up with an idea that I didn't think about, I have friends that I work with, and a lot of times they are afraid to say, well, let's try it this way instead of this way. And I go, well, why didn't you tell me this in the first place? Because when I see this idea, sometimes I want to run with it, because it's a much better idea than what I thought of in the first place. And I have a rule of thumb when it comes to criticism, and this is my own rule, everyone. If it's going to help me, I want to hear it. If it's not going to help me, I have a very strong sense of who I am and what I'm all about. That's not to say that I'm not open to listening, but if it's going to hurt me, Why tell me this? Because there are people out there whose sole purpose is to hurt people. That comes from a point of jealousy, envy, resentment, all those things that you both know that we deal with, because it's on the human plane that we deal with all the time. But I do believe that the state of this country right now, and I'm not getting political, I'm not going there, but it's because people are resenting and not being open to collaboration and not being willing to work together for the common good of all people.
Well, we also have a country of so many divided groups of people, and they all want control. They all want total control. If each of us, and the plan and the divinity of things, if each of us had total control over everything, the planet would have been blown up a long time ago.
Right. That's
You
right.
know, so we in my book, I write about, in my book, Let That Go, I write about how we co-create with each other and higher consciousness, or God, or Yahweh, or whatever you want to call it. We co-create.
Yes.
And it's not an isolated creation situation here with us, which is part of why many of us have an issue with control, because sometimes we want to win and the other person wants to win, and there's a battle of control issues. It would be nice if more of us can have a conversation, even if we speak. I've spoken the truth to a few people in my life, and they didn't like it, and they didn't want to talk about it. Just bye. So it'd be nice if we could have more conversations and have more dialogue. In Nichiren Buddhism, we talk a lot about having dialogue with each other.
Well,
and Karen's familiar with Nichiren Buddhism as well, and Daisaku Ikeda.
And the whole concept of nonviolent communication is about dialogue. And when we talk with one another, of course, if I'm co-creating with my higher power and each of us are, we're going to bump into each other now and then. And how we bump depends on what we're carrying. If we're carrying anger, then we're going to bump angrily. And if we're carrying love, then we're going to bump gently and lovingly and kindly and compassionately. And we're going to be able to have that dialogue.
And it's also about that spiritual mirror guidance. We attract who we are.
Yes.
I had a text altercation with someone recently, and something that this person did and said had me go, oh, do I have it in me? Oh, I must possess that somewhere in myself, and I'm really looking at that.
Kassira, I've started, after many years of wondering, we always say that the person in front of us is mirroring back to us. And that's easy to do when someone is sweet and kind and all of those wonderful things. But when someone shows up angry and bitter and hostile, it's harder to say they're mirroring to me what's in me. So rather than saying, am I that? I ask, when and how am I that? I just give the universe the assumption, give the universe the benefit of the doubt that, yep, I'm that, because this person is right here in front of me. So when am I that? How am I that? Then I have some work to do.
One of the things that I've started doing is when someone comes at me in an angry mood or something, I imagine them as a 5-year-old. I imagine them as a 5-year-old having a temper tantrum. And it's want. What do they want? What do they need? And what can I give them to make them feel a little bit better? Because a lot of times they're coming from hurt, they're coming from anger and everything. And if they're coming from that kind of an anger, it's not about me. It's about what circumstances that have happened before they walk through the door, before they've picked up the phone to call me, before they've sent that email. We've all gotten those emails. We've all gotten those things that in a second can trigger and change the entire direction and trajectory of a day. And if we all take a moment, it's like getting a review. If you get a great review, oh my God, you're euphoric. You're floating on air. But if that review is a bad review, it has the complete opposite effect on you. And what is it that we relinquish that control to another person to say we're allowing that person to dictate how our day is going to unfold? And each and every one of us do that every single day of our lives.
Yes.
It's the domino effect.
Yes.
So on page 83 of my book, Let That Go, this is not a great copy. This is the author's copy. That's my copy. I write, humans who are determined to control other humans and situations do so from a desperate need to protect and create a space of safety for themselves. This actually makes them the most insecure and vulnerable people in the world. Remember, not only do we co-create our lives with higher consciousness, all of us are one in collective consciousness. We co-create our existence together as well. Again, it is the law of oneness. And the Wikipedia, I often refer to Wikipedia. The Wikipedia explanation of collective consciousness is the set of shared beliefs, ideas, and moral attitudes which people operate as a unifying force within society. Well, our society is not what I would call unified right now.
Oh,
And it's affecting most of us in some way. We all have our own opinions about what's going on. We all pick sides, and it has the control issues come out even more, and we hold on them even more strongly. Karen, do you want to say something about that?
Oh gosh, in the book of love.
Or not.
Karen, you've gone literally, excuse me for jumping in before you answer that. You've literally gone from the frying pan into the fire, because I know the state in which you are living right now, having grown up in South Carolina. And it's a hotbed that you're in right now.
Well, remember that I came from Texas,
I know that.
which is also a hotbed. So,
Yes,
it just stays warm and toasty.
that's right.
But
Yeah.
Archbishop Desmond Tutu said, if we can just look at each other and hear each other with the understanding that we all have an opinion, and it's just an opinion. That's all it is. No more. It's just an opinion. And boy, did that have a big impact on me. It's out of his and the Dalai Lama's Book of Joy. There's a whole chapter about that. And for us to change our perspective, to say, oh my gosh, that's an opinion, and then take a higher look, raise our thinking from this human place where all the stuff is to a higher place where we're moving from our truth. We're looking at it from our highest way of thinking, our highest being, our true self is what Buddhists call it, our true self. When we're looking at other people's hearing other people's words from that perspective, we don't take it personally. It's an opinion.
Well,
More no less.
Sarah talks about the domino effect, and I'd like to talk about how the domino effect, and you both are going to talk about woo-woo, that I'm really out there with what I'm about to say right now. But the domino effect has really manifested itself in a major way this past week. Social media, Facebook, Meta, if you want to go there.
Whatever.
Whatever you want to call it. The way to give a little history lesson, everyone on Facebook, was set up originally as a dating app at Harvard University. And it grew into this social media network, and it was great for marketing and promotion. And that is truly what I use it for. Any of you want to go to look at my Facebook feed, you don't see really personal things about me, things are going on in my personal life. You see me posting about positive articles that I've read, other artists that I promote and everything. the way that Facebook is set up, the negative stuff rises to the top of the feed. And I don't know about you, Kassira and Karen, if both of you were very active on Facebook, but I've noticed a drop in the number of likes and shares in my postings on Facebook. And it's because those postings are not being seen by the majority of people on Facebook anymore, because the negative comments are the ones that are rising to the top.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
as a result of that, the stock in Facebook is dropping drastically, because I'm not the only one who is experiencing this. Most people are experiencing this, and a lot of people are getting fed up with Facebook, and a lot of people are leaving and walking away. I've got friends that are doing timeout, and people are walking away from Facebook
Yeah.
for 30-day periods and whatever.
Mhm.
But my advice to everyone, there are 3 things that we all can take advantage of here, and that's like, share, and comment. And if it's a negative post, delete it. Don't even respond to it. I want to respond to our dear friend Howard Tucker here, because he said sometimes he's got a cousin who used to say, who never hesitated to make a comment about his weight. Well, my response to that would have been, say, thank you very much. Now let's go out for a pizza. You know, take control of that situation.
Yeah.
You know, I write in my book on page 91 under the chapter of Why We Hold On to Thoughts and Feelings. Bruce Lipton, who's a cellular biologist, has stated that psychologists say that 70% of our thoughts are negative and redundant. And I'm still looking into why this is. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's human beings have always been this way. I don't know if it's happened over time, or it goes in waves depending on what's happening on our planet. Yet, I mean, look at why reality shows where people fight constantly in every episode are so popular. Look at why people love to watch shows where people fight and are violent and talk to each other really hatefully. Think about that. I don't watch them.
Last week, on a particular show, a Broadway actress put a well-known actress down in a statement. She said one thing about this other actress, and it went viral. It was picked up by all the news media. It was all over social media. It was on everything. It was picked up. I mean, it kept popping up because I get Google alerts. It kept popping up in my feed. I must have gotten 25 to 30 emails on that one comment. I kept deleting it and deleting it and deleting it. If that actress had made a positive comment about that actress, none of us would have ever seen it again. And, you know, but people were talking about it. It showed up on chat boards. People were commenting about it. People were sharing it because it was salacious. It was gossipy. And in response to your thing about reality shows, these non-reality shows, as I like to refer to them as, they're all about one-upmanship. Someone's going to get kicked off the island. Someone's going to get kicked off the runway. Someone's cupcake is going to be better than someone else's cupcake. Someone is going to get unmasked. And I mean, this past week, the unmasked singer was Giuliani. And, you know, and two of the...
I think I missed that one.
Yeah. But 2 of the judges walked off the show because this man... But Giuliani was picked to be the unmasked the masked singer, not because of any achievement that he made as a singer or in show business, but because of the controversy that surrounds him
and the negativity it would cause.
and the negativity.
So there is a very well-known actress who's been on General Hospital for years. I'm not going to mention her name, but she also won Dancing with the Stars.
Yes.
She has just taken a break and taken a vacation. There's another actress playing her for a short period of time. She says that the negative comments she's getting on social media about her are just so overwhelming that she took a vacation.
Miss USA committed
What's the
suicide
point?
last week.
Yeah. Or 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
Chesley. Yeah.
hopefully.
We it's something we've all got to look at. The other thing I kind of wanted to mention on that point about the law of oneness is that is about controllers addicted to being right. It's a big one, and I've had this actually. My Reiki master Deborah Brock is watching right now. Hi, Deb. Hi, Deb. We've talked about controllers addicted to being right, and I write you'll never convince them that because they are addicted to being right and feeling safe in their environment, which they don't understand, they co-create. They will eventually learn the truth. It just may not be now, and when they do, it won't be pretty. And I always tell people, if you say that's not me, don't skip to the next chapter. We really do all have control issues of some sort.
Yeah.
And some of them we can so I can tolerate, and others can tolerate, and some are intolerable. But I'd like, Karen, can you read the quote that Reverend Karen, that you contributed to my book on page 85?
Yes, I have to put my readers on. I said, when I give up the idea that I need to be or even can be in control, I then move into the perfect movement and harmony of the universe. When I stop resisting and forcing life to be what I think it should be and live what life truly is, I then live mindfully. I live with gratitude in each moment without attachment to an illusion.
Beautifully.
What do you say after that? I mean, think about that. Can everybody think about that for a minute? Who's watching? Pam Stubbs wrote, hi, Pam. She says, like they say, I'm not in competition with anyone. I want everyone to win. I was in a Buddhist meeting with Herbie Hancock, speaking. This is years ago in New York when I lived in New York. And he said, I want all of you to stop praying to be number one. It's called number one because there's only one number one. So let's get off the number one page and let's get on to the best we can be page.
Oh, yes.
And also, let's all stop living in a bubble. Whatever we believe in, whether you're an atheist, an agnostic, a Christian, a Buddhist, a Jewish, whatever you believe in, jump out of your bubble and read other things. And so that you can understand more, you can understand the other person better. Over time, because I lived in Dallas and LA and New York and now New Mexico, I've fortunately been exposed to and have met many people from all over the world. And I feel like I understand people a whole lot more.
Mm-hmm.
There are some cultures that I meld well in, some that not so great, yet I still attempt to do it. I still attempt to see what's going on.
Well, I grew up in South Carolina. I left home when I was 18. I've been living in New York now going on 43 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that gene. I don't understand that. And I know it comes from fear. It comes from a fear of someone else is going to get more than me, or someone is going to get something that I want that I'm not able to attain for whatever reasons. I've never understood disliking someone because of their skin color or because of a different belief system that I have.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
I don't understand it. And
I don't either.
And I'm, I've got a birthday at the end of this week. And as I get older, I still don't understand it. And I watch the news at night, and I don't understand this constant fear that people still carry with them on this planet, that someone else is going to get something from them. And I think that is what this constant struggle is that people carry with them. I have a very dear friend, and he always says rejection is God's protection. And when there's something that I want, desire, Kassira, when there's something that I desire and it doesn't always fall into my lap the way that I had hoped it would, I always feel, well, perhaps it's not the right time. Perhaps it wasn't meant to be. And I go on to the next thing. It's just the way life is. And it's not that I have a defeatist attitude. I just I'm constantly looking for what's ahead.
Mm-hmm. We also have to be mindful and watchful of something we're attempting to do, which involves other human beings. If we're not getting an answer and they're not participating or communicating, maybe the answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that recently with a couple of things. The answer is no. And sometimes, which is why I have people I turn to I have my own people I turn to for guidance. In fact, my Reiki master, Deborah, who's watching, said, maybe that answer is no. And I said, oh, you think? I think I just figured that out, And it's really better to really look at, okay, I hear guidance from people that say, don't give up no matter what. You get that. You do what you got to do, and you keep praying for that, or you keep chanting, or you keep meditating. Well, what if the answer is actually no?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it is not yet, but that's only, I feel, if you're getting some sort of feedback or communication or response of some sort. Sometimes the answer is just not yet, and sometimes the answer is just no. Mm-hmm. And so we have to be really tuned into ourselves, and also somehow spiritually tuned in, whatever you do that does that, to recognize when the answer is no, and we stop trying to control the situation or the other people involved. Karen?
Well, if the answer is no to this, where is the yes? And so very often that yes is something so great, so magnificent that my human mind has not been able to imagine it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can give up trying to make something happen that we think we want, think we need, or desire, and allow the universe, I have a belief that the universe supports my good. I have all my life as evidence to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I can allow the universe to support my good, it's so much better than my human limited imagination. Because the universe is working in infinite.
Right. And speaking of all our lives, would you like to speak on your thought that perhaps a lot of our controlling habits or desires come from childhood?
Yeah. When I think about the need to be in control, it stems from a feeling of being out of control. And so often that comes in people that I talk to as a minister and through my spiritual direction practice. It comes from a traumatic experience when we truly are out of control. And it might be from a past lifetime, if you believe in multiple lives. It might be from our childhood, that a memory, an experience that we've suppressed. And there's a wound caused by that experience. However, we're carrying that wound, and that some people call that the shadow, the darkness. I call it our bruises and our tender spots.
Okay.
And those tender spots need to be healed. And if we're walking around with them gaping open, as soon as something touches that bruise or that wound, we're going to respond. We're going to react. It's not going to be our best moment. And we fear what's in that wound because we don't know it. We don't know what's in there. And so we hesitate. We resist looking at it. But I have long believed that all of these things surface for us for a reason. And I don't believe they surface for us to harm us. So as things rise and we feel out of control, maybe from an experience, before we say, let that go, that's a shortcut.
Mhm.
Before we say, let that go, we can excavate. We can explore it. We can examine what's in it. And you might do that with a professional. You might do that with a therapist, with a Reiki master, with a counselor,
Sure.
with another person, so that you're not going that road alone. But once the stuff has risen, it comes because there's a part of us that is ready to heal it, to really ready to navigate the journey of whatever it is,
Mhm.
and to find the lesson, to find the gift. And then
And
we
I'm
can
sorry.
do all of the healing that we need to, however long that takes. It might not be overnight. We can practice forgiveness where we need to forgive. And then we can allow the experience to drift away.
Mhm.
And we're complete when we can say, for me, I'm complete when I can say, oh my gosh, that was a horrible experience. And because of that experience, I am this.
In my book, thank you for that. In the book, I do have chapters on what is a blessing, what is a releasing, what is true forgiveness. There's chapters on how to do your own little worksheet on our play and our responsibility in any situation with a person, place, or thing. And it's about us accepting our responsibility in the soul contract.
Mhm.
And Kassira, can I say one thing? Because there are some things that happen in life that are hyenas, that are horrendous and awful.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we let them go and let the person go, not because it's okay. And it's because what they did was so atrocious
Mhm.
that we no longer want to be tied to that in any
Right.
way.
Thank you for saying
Excellent.
that. Thank you.
Because I want to be really clear that
Mhm.
some things happen that way. And I don't want to minimize any of the things that happen in people's
Absolutely.
lives. And so
Absolutely.
it's just, I've got to let you go because I don't want to be tied to this any longer. That's
Mhm.
how horrible it was.
I want to say something. I want to remind everyone for the book giveaway, a couple of things. Number one, make sure that it's hashtag let that go with the exclamation point.
Mhm.
The exclamation point has to be there in order to be eligible. And as you will see, neither Kassira or Karen or I have any control, no control
Control.
on who the winner will be. You will see it's done randomly. So
Mhm.
make sure it's let that go exclamation point, just like the title of the book.
Mhm.
And even if you do not, we all have the book. Even if you do not win this book tonight, it is available on Amazon.com. You can go and buy the book, and it's a great read. And as Kassira said, there are all kinds of worksheets and everything. It's a great.
And also templates for affirmative prayers to
Yes,
say out loud to bless and release darn near anything.
I am a.
And you don't. And by the way, you do not have to hashtag let that go more than once. I see some people are like
Well,
doing
some
it
of
to
them
death.
didn't do it right the first time, so they need to go
Okay.
back and do it a second time.
And also tell the people on who are watching on my Facebook page and your Facebook page what they've got to do to enter as well.
If
Please.
you, yes, it's best that you do this through YouTube, because if you were doing this on Facebook and your privacy settings are set to private, we will not see your comments. So unless we are friends of yours,
We won't see the hashtag let that go. That's yeah.
yes.
So
So
if you don't want to watch on if you want to watch on Facebook and not YouTube, we're on YouTube every Sunday under Richard Skipper. All you do is type in Richard Skipper and boom, it's 5 o'clock Eastern time, which is I have a lot of people in Texas. Hi Texas.
Yes.
that are talking to me right now. It's 4 o'clock your time, 3 o'clock in New Mexico.
No, if they are watching on Richard Skipper, they can do this. And I think, but I think, is it through your page as well? It
Yes,
all
my
depends
page
on
is
your privacy settings on your page.
So anybody watching on my page, bless you. Anybody watching on my page, if you want to do hashtag let that go and perhaps win a book, go into your privacy settings and put it into public so that the system will get your hashtag and you'll be in the drawing. Yeah.
But I want to build upon,
Otherwise, watch on YouTube next time.
but I want to build upon something that Karen just said.
Mhm.
Jane Fonda has a wonderful autobiography, and she talks about the relationship that she had with her father, Henry Fonda. And if you know anything about her history, when she was 9 years old, I think she was 9, her mother committed suicide. And when that happened, Henry Fonda retreated. He retreated into his work. And so both Jane and Peter Fonda pretty much grew up with their nanny taking care of them without the love of a father. He was there as a father figure, but that parenting relationship was pretty much not in place. And years later, of course, on Golden Pond was her way of getting back and trying to build late in life a relationship that she had with her father. But she said something in her book that has always stayed with me. And she said there needs to be a statute of limitations as to how long you hold on to the resentment and the hatred and the resentments that you're going to hold on to. Because if you hold on to those for so long, you're not able to move on in your own light and what you need to do to heal yourself. And so I think that goes along, Karen, with what you're saying. With they are horrible things that you've gone through, but you also have to be able to get through that and to let go of it. 9/11 is a perfect example.
Oh, I was in New York. I was there.
I
Yeah.
was, yes, I was too. And those of us who were here in New York know what horrendous day that was.
It's
But there
horrible.
comes a time where you have to go on with your life. You have
Yes.
to go on in life. When you lose a spouse or a child, which is a horrendous thing to go through, there comes a time where you have to go among the living again. It has to happen.
Mhm. Yes, I actually write about that in the book, Richard, of my experience in living in the city and working in the city when 9/11 occurred. And how, now, every September, I realize why people don't want to let it go. I understand why, but they still want to relive it so it doesn't happen again. I don't watch those. I don't relive the trauma over and over and over and over again. I just won't do it. I was there. I saw what happened. You know,
I'm with
could
you,
barely get home.
but I respect those that do need to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, yes.
I don't do that.
Hmm.
I lived it, and I, so yeah, so I was there, and you were, and a lot of my friends were, and they're still in New York, actually.
Karen, I want to go back to your beginnings when you finally did stop trying to control those urges, and
Yeah.
you did listen to your calling.
Mhm.
Was it an easy transition for you, uh, not knowing a lot about your history and your life and everything? Uh, when someone is called into, whether it be the priesthood or a life of service, into a religious service or a spiritual service, um, those around you may have a different way of reacting to it. What was your experience with those around you in terms of how they responded to your?
That's really funny. That is a great question. As I was in ministerial school, I still had my job in senior care. And when I was able to leave senior care because I was going to work with my church full time, people began asking, well, what are you going to do? I was very quiet about it because I knew people would respond in various ways. So I was really quiet about my education. And when I was leaving to go to my church, people became, they stopped using curse words.
Wow.
Funniest thing. And of course my daughter said, so now what do we have to call you, Mother? Do we call you Reverend Mother? What do we call you?
Reverend Mother.
And
That's funny.
yeah, so as I saw in my work life, it was really funny how people responded. But my friends know me, and I'm no different than anybody else. I've read books, I've studied, I've practiced some things perhaps a little more intently, a little more, but I still have stuff that comes up. I still have the same issues, the same questions, the same work to do as everybody else does. Yeah. So in that regard, that has not changed. I still have to deal with me.
Of course, we're human beings. We're
We are
spiritual beings in
human,
human
yes.
bodies, of
I
course.
have, a friend of mine who she has a mouth on her like a sailor, and we did an event together years ago, and I got a ride back, and she says, "Can I get a ride with you?" And I said, "Sure." So she gets in the car, and every other word was the F-bomb and this and everything. And there were two other women in the car, and again, she didn't know these two women, and I said, "Well, we're dropping them off first." And the first stop was the convent to drop them off. And they got out of the car, and I said, "Thank you, sisters." And they got out of the car. She said, "Why didn't you tell me they were nuns?" I said, "You never asked." She said, "I'm so embarrassed." I said, "Why? You were living your authentic self.
Yes.
You were exactly who you are. Why?"
And who knows? It may have been really entertaining and fun for the nuns. I
Right,
mean,
exactly.
we don't know.
Exactly.
They may have loved it.
Yeah.
How often do they get to hear that?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure they hear it all the time. They just listened to her. They went about their business. It was very funny. I am going to bring I'm going to bring this other screen on. So bear with me. I hope I don't lose anything. I'm going to bring this extra screen on, and let's see. This is the giveaway tool. Share, and let's do this. Here we are, and we've got 7 people who have entered. I'm going to give 2 more minutes, and then we'll do the drawing. So anything you want to say?
While we're waiting, there's 2 things. While we're waiting, Frank asked, "What's the difference between forgiveness and forgetting when letting go?" I don't know that we ever forget, Frank. Forgiveness is a blessing and releasing exercise, and again, I teach you how to do that in the book. We may never forget, yet we can rearrange our subconscious so that when we think of somebody from our past that we no longer have in our lives, that we let go of, we no longer we can forgive from our heart and our mind. It's so deeply that when we reach for our subconscious, when we think of that person, we no longer reach for the negative thoughts. I have 2 ex-men that I used to think really negatively of until I started doing this work for myself. And then now when I think of them, I no longer there's no longer a negative inventory in my subconscious storehouse. It's no longer in my mental warehouse. And I do write about it in the book in detail.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have the book, think about getting it from Amazon. And I write all about that in my book. Second thing is, can we have Karen talk about her podcast?
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much. As a Unity minister, I am co-minister of a wonderful ministry called Courageous Living in Unity. And my friend, Reverend Evan Wilkins, and I created this ministry to serve the LGBTQ plus community with education, with healing, with advocacy, and allyship. And we host a radio show on Unity Online Radio every Tuesday called Holy You. And it's about living wholly, completely. It's WHOLLY, living every aspect of ourself out loud, proud, and for the world to see.
Oh, I love that. Can you send me the information and I can make sure that that is included in the details that I put on YouTube?
Yeah.
You bet. Yeah.
That'll be
Thank
great.
you. Thank
So
you, Karen.
So let's do a drawing. So I'm going to show you how this works. And I'm going to go to the giveaway tool and I'm going to hit draw. And this is how this works. And we're going to see who our winner is tonight. I love how this works. Jeff Charles Michael Smith.
Yay.
So Jeff, if you will send me richard@richardskipper.com, your address, I will get a book off to you tonight. So just send me that, richard@richardskipper.com. So don't forget, and then I will get this off to you as soon as possible. So I'm going to pull us back on screen here. And I cannot believe how fast this hour flew tonight.
Flew by. Reverend Karen, you're one of my favorite people on the planet.
Yes.
And Sandra Kay's watching, and she said a special hello to all of us, but especially you, Reverend Karen.
Thank you.
Sandra is a legendary jazz singer from Texas, and one of my best friends since we were very young in the club scene. And you're going to interview her at some point soon.
I reached out to her, so I'm waiting for a response.
She's the best, and she actually sang with me. I used to sing at Reverend Karen's church.
Yes.
At Unity Church. And I keep calling it your church. Sorry, Dallas. And she sang with me one Sunday with Rachel and our beloved Tommy, who passed away. He was one of the most amazing accompanists I've ever worked with.
Yeah,
I just wanted to say hello to you from Sandra Kay.
Oh, hello, Sandra.
Well, don't go anywhere for a moment. I've got a few words and then my closing remarks tonight. I want to thank everybody who showed up tonight. I know that I can speak to both Kassira and Karen when I say this. We don't take it lightly when you take the time to spend a little time with us. Kassira and I are here every Sunday night at 5 o'clock, except for the last weekend. The last Sunday night, we will not be here. We're going to do it Saturday night that weekend instead. So please join us every Sunday night as we let go. The next week, we will be talking about the next chapter. Kassira, thoughts and feelings?
I think it might be time, and we're going to, Karen, if you'll come back at some point, I'd be so appreciated. I think it's time for us to talk about soul contracts and collective consciousness.
Then let's do that next week.
And spiritual maturity. I've got a chapter on it.
Because I think I think you and I have a soul contract.
Oh, absolutely, and we're actually enjoying it.
Yes, we often
have soul contracts.
We are twins from another.
We are. We're bookends. We're bookends. I'm him in drag. I'm not kidding. Yeah. And he's me in drag. I'm so not kidding. And I did Hello Dolly with Carol Channing many years ago, 2 tours, and he used to impersonate Carol Channing.
Yes,
so
as a matter of fact, let me.
No.
You too. Show you.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh, is that you? No, it's too shiny. I can't. Oh, okay. Closer to the camera. Closer. Yep, there's you and Carol.
Yeah, there we are together.
There you are.
That was a lifetime ago. There we are together. But to finish what I was saying, thank you all for being here tonight. My hope is that everybody that's here, if you're not already a subscriber of Richard Skipper Celebrates, please subscribe tonight. Please leave a comment on YouTube. And please share this with your friends.
Yes, go subscribe to Richard's channel.
I will also let you all know this, and then Kassira will build upon this in a few moments. Kassira is also available for private counseling, which she will talk about in a moment. So please take advantage of this very generous offer that she will talk about. I also want to let you all know about this channel that I have discovered, that I have fallen in love with, and it's called whatyoumeantome.com. And as I said at the beginning of tonight's show, I lost 3 friends last week. And after these 2 friends passed away, I saw on both of their pages on Facebook the outpouring of love, where everybody was posting pictures of them and telling them how much they loved them and talking about their favorite memories of them. And I thought, wouldn't that have been wonderful if that was done 2 weeks before they passed away? So why don't we all do that with the people that we love and we support in our lives? So rather than doing this for everybody on Facebook, what I would like everybody who's watching to do is to go to Facebook tonight, and I want you to pull up the 6th name that pops up in your Facebook friends list. Go to your friends, the 6th name, and then I want you to go to whatyoumeantome.com. And then I want you to write to that 6th friend, and I want you to fill out that form and let them know what they mean to you. And it's important that we all do this and that we let our friends know what they mean in our lives. And if you don't have the time to do that, pick up the phone and call them and let them know what they mean to you. I have a dear friend, David Friedman, and he always says, we're all in this together, but we're not in the same boat. And I always say, if you're going to go out in a boat, make sure you bring a friend, that you bring a skipper along. So now I'm going to turn it over to you, Karen. Final words that you want to say tonight. Anything about anything that Kassira and I have talked about tonight, or anything that we didn't talk about that you wish we had, or just any message that you want to put out to anyone who's watching tonight. And then you and I will leave the screen and we will give Kassira the final word tonight.
Oh, I want to express gratitude first for the 2 of you for inviting me here. What a joy to be in your company, even on the screen. Just pure joy. You're just so full of life. And let your light shine.
Thank you.
Just let your light shine. It's what the world needs from each and every person. So those of you who are watching, let your light shine. Just let it shine brightly. That's all for me.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Whoa! It reminds me of the scene from What's Love Got to Do with It? When Tina Turner, it was a child, sang that, and they pulled her out of the church by her ear because she was just shining a little too brightly.
Right.
Too bright. Impossible to shine too brightly.
So
thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
So we'll leave the screen and you've got the final word, Kassira. Thank you.
And how often does someone actually get the last word? Hi. Hey, everybody. I want to take a moment to first say, I don't know if anybody else has a birthday out there, but it was Howard Tucker's birthday just the other day. Happy birthday, Howard. And Richard's birthday is coming up on the 11th, I believe. Is it the 11th? I think so. I'd like to say hi to, I have a bunch of friends that I graduated from high school from. Now we're only 29, so it was what, 12 years ago? And also my performing friends in Dallas as well. There's a lot in New York. So just hi to Janet, Michelle, Rose, Kelly, Peggy, Karen, Deborah, Hefner, Jim Addick, Ricky Pope, Janet Perez, Danielle Alexander, who actually performed on one of my diva shows in Dallas, and also everybody on YouTube, many of which I do not know, but just thank you, Barbara, of course, Pam, of course, Deborah Brock and Sandra Kay, Frank, I hope you get the book and read about that, about the difference between forgiveness and forgiveness and forgetting. Sue, just everybody watching, thank you so much. I can't see all of you, there's so many. Judy, just thank you. And I do offer one-on-one counseling because times are a little difficult now for everyone. I call it a contribution, and you can contribute to me, and Richard has contribution websites as well, especially PayPal. We do not get paid for doing this. We are happy to do it. We're happy to assist people in letting go and working through some really big issues. I think we're really called to do that today. especially in the climate of our planet and our country. You can find me on Venmo, oh gosh, Cash App, PayPal, GoFundMe, and I have a special for the one-on-one counseling now. My fee is usually $125 an hour. Right now I'm doing $75 an hour, 50 for 40 minutes, and 20 for 25. If you would like to talk privately about anything that you might be holding on to that's causing you some suffering, someone you'd like to let go of that you haven't let go of yet, a situation you'd like to let go of, are you looking for a new job? Are you looking for a new spouse or other person? Are you looking at relocating? I've helped several people relocate across the country. Just hit me up. Also, I'm on Facebook. Anybody can text me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm here. Also, my website is Kassira McKee at I can't even remember my own website. KassiraMcKee.com. You can read about the book there. You can text me through that. In this day of technology, I get a little lost. All right, so I'm going to read a little quote from the book just to leave you a little message. Thank you, Karen, for reading that amazing quote that you contributed to my book. Here's what I'd like to say about me and what I write about in the book. When I find myself on the verge of desiring to control someone else's behavior, I remind myself that I can only control myself and that their soul is on its own journey. First, I look closely at my thoughts and feelings and how I trigger that behavior. Then I bless and release it and completely forgive myself for even going there. I honor their life experience and free will by stepping out of their choices and focusing on my own. So on that note, hope you get the book. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know how you like it. Hit me up, and thank you, Richard, and thank you, Reverend Karen. We'll see you next weekend, Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. We're going to talk about juicy soul contracts that we have in our collective consciousness. I love you. Bye.